did you see your first dory?
That was, first dory trip was, well, first I worked for Hatch for 2 years, and then I worked for Grand Canyon Expeditions for 2 more years, motors, hoping to get on rowing. Ron Smith had a petition he circulated around to ban motors, and so I thought, well, that's great. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go for that. This guy's gonna start rowing. That was kind of just, I don't know what he had in mind, but I really wanted to get off motors and start rowing because I'd rowed up on the green. You know, that's how I learned to row, and I really liked rowing a little better than motor, and I don't know what it was about it. But then I was working with Ron Smith, and this Martin Litton was moved in the second year that I was there and rented one of Ron Smith's warehouses. He had these 2 warehouses that were an old lumber mill that he bought for $10,000 and almost nothing even in those days in Kanab, and one of them was just totally empty and only had part of a roof on it, but it was, you know, acre of warehouse space. So he rented the space to Martin. I don't think he really realized, because there was all these hippies and stuff, and he was not really happy that they were there. They were kind of, you know, not quite what he was hoping, and they just all moved in their VW buses and whatnot, and Jeff Clayton and all the old timers, Mike Davis, moved in there and set up shop with the dories. And God, we'd all go over there and sit in those dories and go, man, you guys really row these through there? And these guys didn't know how to row at all. I mean, they'd just crash and burn every trip. You know, it's like the dories would come out, you know, sinking and patched everywhere with duct tape and marine tacks and steel wool and all these wild patching techniques back in those days.
Well, why did they want to run them?
Well, it was just Martin. I mean, Martin was crazy. He just wanted to, he just thought that the, you know, somebody had to row real boats down there, wooden boats, traditional boats, like the old days, like they used to use before they invented rubber rafts. And I don't think anybody ever would have thought of it except Martin. I think once rafts came in style, that would have been all anybody'd ever do, even now. But Martin he was a purist and a environmentalist, and, you know, definitely had values and standards of how it should be done. And so he started running these dories, and they worked good. They really did work, even though can't hit rocks with them and stuff. They sure are a lot of fun to row. Pretty addicting overall. Anybody who rows one very much kind of gets the idea they're the best boat to row in the canyon. So
what was it you told me after the first dory trip I'd ever done?
Yeah, I could. Yeah. It's just like anybody. I think I was no different than anybody. You row a dory and you, just like you know, you row a dory and you go, God. This is, I mean, it adds the challenge. It adds that something, you know, something extra that you'll never get tired of doing this, that you could do this until you died, and then you could get born again and do it another 10, 20, 50 lifetimes, and you could do it straight through the year, all year long, and you'd never, ever get tired of doing it. Never could. It's just, actually it gets better, I think, with every trip, and it's the dories. That they're just alive. They're, you know, they're boats. They take something extra to get them through there. But it's not even that. It's just that, I mean, they're too much fun to row down there. It's the funnest thing there is to do, and you could never do anything else once you start doing them. And at least be happy. You might do something else because you felt guilty because you weren't really doing anything with your life, you know. But between them and being in the Grand Canyon, yeah, you just could never do anything else once you start rowing dories. you're hooked. Worst drug in the world. Best drug in the world.
You told me once.
Okay, wait.
Everybody else does. I mean, you know, I look around at everybody and go, God, all these guys look pretty old. And then I look in the mirror. I go, oh, yeah, me too. Looking a little older, just around the edges.
Doesn't take very long, does it?
Eyes don't change, though. I mean, that's what's cool about people, is their eyes kind of stay about the same. That's what's great about Georgie. She's just ageless. She'll never. Her eyes are going to look just that steel blue until the day she dies. They've never changed.
Well, why do you think everybody came here? Do we go over that? But again, you know, I mean, was it just for Georgie?
Well, I think we all came here because Georgie's kind of our hero. I mean, you can't help but love her. She's a character. And I mean, everybody down here is. You know, that's what's so cool about it. And I think most of us came because we all knew that most of us would come. And we all wanted to see us. You know, and that's what the River Guides is so cool about, you know, that someday, you know, it'd be nice to just get together like this about once a year, maybe twice, you know. And we kind of do, you know, it's getting more and more. There's more and more people at each meeting, and it's just great to get together and go over, you know, what occurred in the last, you know, 6 months or a year that happened. It's kind of like having a big family. And the older we get and the more it goes on, the better it is. And it just, I'm sure we'll just keep getting better, hopefully. Because it's all there is, really. It's each other. That's all we've got.
You think we can get around this Park Service stuff?
Oh yeah, we'll outlive them. There's no doubt about it. They all move on, and we've seen them come and go. I mean, shoot, I haven't been here that long, and I've seen 6 superintendents come and go. And you get the bad ones and you get the good ones, and actually what we need to remember is that every time one comes in, they're absolutely clueless. And you kind of got to treat them like you treat a dude, you know? And you show them the canyon, and show them who you are, and kind of just wow them a little bit, and they're a little easier to deal with. If you don't wow them, then yeah, they don't give you the respect you deserve. I mean, I guess you have to, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's give them a little respect, or, you know, at least realize that they need a little coaching to realize where they fit into the picture and where we fit in. You know, I mean, we're the ones who really have sort of given our lives to the canyon. Not that that's good or bad, but we care about the place, you know, maybe even more than they do. And but if you can't just tell them that, you got to just show them that.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think we've done that?
It's the canyon. It grabs you. It's, you know, it's like taking the poison. I mean, you got to have it. After you've had it once, you've got to have it. It's a drug, and it grabs you. I mean, Martin used to say that a lot, that, you know, it's almost scary when you go down there for your first time, because you realize that, boy, if you do this again, you're going to want to do it again, even more, and again, and you might just end up spending your whole dang life here and not get anything worthwhile done. And, you know, I agree with everything except the worthwhile part. I think it's really worthwhile, what we're doing down there as River Guides. We touch a lot of people. We bring a lot of people along and change their lives permanently, probably. Not even probably, for sure. And it's just a big family. And that's what life's all about, I guess. Just passing on the knowledge.
Why do you think the place does that to people? What is it about it?
Well, the place is just, it's so awesome. It's so...
Well, you think the geology has anything to do with it? You know, when they start thinking about, and I mean, I think about, you know, your geology stories and stuff.
Well, I think that, yeah, what you see is sort of a progression of time and sort of a timelessness, but an instant flash picture, you know, of how the earth happens, how it works. Really, I mean, it's the only place in the world that, I think anyway, that you could be a mile deep in the earth and still be, you know, getting a suntan, and a sunburn, and getting wet and looking up, and you just look up at all this, you see all this time that it took, and yet you realize that all the time that it took, you know, all the time that it took to carve the canyon was just like a couple of days if you stuck all the rest of it into the space of a year. And yeah, it's more than you can even comprehend, even if you understand it.
So what do you think happens to them, like the people that you're taking down the river now? I mean, how do they? What are they looking for when they get there, and what do they find, you think, on these trips?
Well, I think when they first get there, they're going like they're intimidated, most people. I was. I mean, I kind of just going how I was my first trip, and you're just like blown away that this river could cut this canyon that could just go on and on and on. It seems like as the trip goes on, you get into it a few days, and it just goes on, and the canyon's different every day, different every minute, every second, and huge river, just this, you know, unfathomable amount of water is flowing by over these rapids and flats, and the walls just keep getting higher, and it just keeps getting better and better and better and better every day, and it just seems like it's going to go on forever, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's over. And you just go, wow. I mean, my first trip was like that, and I think most people's first trip when they come down there is just like this. It's kind of like it's going on forever, and it's like this whole lifetime that goes on, and you start out this little baby, and you grow up, but before you know it, and it's probably just like being alive, it's all over. And you want to do it again. It's probably like being alive, really. You know, you start out as a baby, and before you know it, you know, you think as you're really young, you know, and you're growing up, you think, boy, you know, this is slow. When's my next birthday going to happen? Then you get to be about our age, and you go, whew, oh man, I'm not going to really get it all done that I want to do. I want to come back and do this again, you know, and that's kind of how a river trip is. I mean, by the time you get to the end, you go, oops, boy, that went fast. You know, I got to try that again. I got to go back and run lava one more time, or run crystal, or I wanted to climb up to that cave. I haven't got that checked out. And your list keeps getting bigger and bigger, all the things you got to do every trip, you know. So you kind of feel like those poor people when they first do their first trip. Yeah, that was the worst, you know. I always thought, boy, I got to come back and do that again. And most of them, I think, leave going that way. Or not most of them, but a good bunch of them. Doesn't touch everybody like that. Some people are just intimidated by it and don't really get past that, maybe. And their reasons for coming in the first place were to tell everybody they came, you know. Yeah, I did the Grand Canyon and stuff. And so maybe some of them don't get touched. But even some of them, a lot of them do.
Do you think it makes them change what they're doing back home?
Some of them, boy, yeah, it's caused more than one, you know, life change, major radical divorce, or quit their job and come out and try and do the canyon. I mean, there's a lot of people in Flag, you know, that I've done that too. There they are.